Good morning, my brave young friends. In our lessons from last week, we took up adverb clauses. In today's lesson, we're going to take up adjective clauses. First, though, let's review. A clause is a grammatical structure that has a subject and a verb. There are two types of clauses: main clauses and subordinate clauses, often referred to as independent and dependent clauses. There are three types of subordinate clauses: adverb clauses, adjective clauses, and noun clauses. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause that functions adverbially. They occur in only two types of sentences: complex sentences and compound complex sentences. We've said that an adverb clause is a subordinate clause that functions adverbially. Now it's time to say that an adjective clause is a subordinate clause that functions adjectivally. Most adverb clauses modify verbs. That is, they tell when, where, why, or how something happens. Adjective clauses modify nouns or pronouns. That is, they tell which one. Here's a simple example. The book which you wanted to read has been checked out. Here we have two verbs, wanted and has been checked out. You is the subject of wanted, and book is the subject of has been checked out. We have two clauses then. Are both main clauses? Clearly not, because one is inside the other. That means one has to be a subordinate clause. In order to understand that one is an adjective clause, let's remove it from the sentence. The book has been checked out. Well, that's deathlessly helpful. There are something like 100,000 books in our library. Which one has been checked out? The book which you wanted to read has been checked out. The highlighted structure is a clause because it has a subject and a verb. It is an adjective clause because it modifies the word book, which is a noun. It tells which book. We saw that there were 7 types of adverb clauses. Fortunately, there is only one type of adjective clause. Adverb clauses, we saw, are introduced by many different subordinating conjunctions. Adjective clauses are introduced by a handful of relative words. Most adjective clauses are introduced by a relative pronoun: who, whom, which, or that. Elian, whom I know well, is an excellent student. A golden retriever that belongs to Jack is digging in my yard. An adjective clause can also be introduced by a relative adjective: whose. Heather, whose major is chemistry, has applied to Yale for graduate school. Finally, An adjective clause can also be introduced by a relative adverb. When, where, why. You can pay your bill in the business office, where you can also check on your financial aid. But how does an adjective clause get to be an adjective clause? As was the case with adverb clauses, adjective clauses start out as independent clauses. Let's return to our first example. This complex sentence is based on two simple sentences. Elian is an excellent student. I know Elian well. If one of these sentences is, in context, more important than the other, the less important sentence is subordinated. First, the element the two sentences share is replaced by a relative word. Second, the relative word is moved to the beginning of the clause. Finally, the clause being subordinated is inserted immediately after the element in the main clause that it shares. Notice that the adjective clause is surrounded by commas. That is not always the case. Consider this pair of sentences. Let's follow the same steps to combine them. This time, the adjective clause is not surrounded by commas. Adjective clauses require commas if they are non-restrictive. What does that mean? Let's return to our sentence about Elian. If the writer knows Elian well, it's safe to say that the reader knows which Elian she is talking about. The adjective clause, then, merely provides additional information about someone already sufficiently identified. That's what makes it non-restrictive. It doesn't restrict the meaning to one Elian or another. Now let's look at the sentence without commas. Okay, a golden retriever is digging in your yard. That's not terribly useful information, since it could be one of dozens of golden retrievers running around town. Which golden retriever are we talking about? The one that belongs to Jack. Now we're getting somewhere. We can call Jack and tell him to come and get his dang dog. This adjective clause is restrictive because it restricts the meaning of golden retriever. This one and not another. A quick review. Elian, whom I know well, non-restrictive, additional information about someone already sufficiently identified, needs commas. A golden retriever that belongs to Jack, restrictive, tells which one, doesn't need commas. Very good, Grasshopper. If you're still here, you didn't jump off the Scranton Bridge. Keep that up. In our next lesson, we're going to take up a construction that's very similar to an adjective clause. A participial phrase.